Well, for more, let's speak to Natia Seskuria, an associate fellow at the Royal United Services Institute. Hello to you, and thank you for speaking to France 24. A lot to go over with this video. Coming after the ICC warned, Putin clearly wanting to show to the world, to his Russian population as well, that he is not limited and keen to be present. What did you make of when you saw these images?
Hello, thank you very much for having me. This visit indeed was quite an important one in a sense that it demonstrates how desperate Vladimir Putin currently is. Mariupol, as you know, is a real symbol of resistance for Ukraine, and it has been also subjected to some of the most intense fighting and war crimes last year. So with this move, it is indeed a propaganda stunt, and Putin is trying to demonstrate to the ordinary Russian citizens that things are going well in Ukraine, and he was able to grab the land, and he was able to start reconstruction, the so-called reconstruction of Mariupol. I cast much doubts about what was genuine out of the footage that we have seen, because it is highly arguable whether President Putin would risk to take such move at this time. But it was definitely targeted at the local population, at the Russian population, to demonstrate them that he has things under control. And of course, it wasn't a coincidence that this happened in just days after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for him.
Yeah, let's unpack your doubts about this footage, if you don't mind. What are the alternatives here? Is it that maybe it wasn't filmed in Mariupol, or maybe the man in these images wasn't Vladimir Putin?
Maybe, could be both. I don't usually like to go into conspiracy theories, but generally, given how Putin has been isolating himself for quite some time, and given his fears, it is highly unlikely that he would take such a risk and go out and go out into the streets of Mariupol. We have seen very staged footage when he was meeting the so-called residents, telling the people that he wants to get them know better. This is indeed a very, very much scripted scenario by this he wants to demonstrate that he has this kind of human face, trying to communicate with citizens and trying to make sure that the plans that Russians have had with Mariupol are going towards the right side.
Yeah, there also seems to be a bit of a pivot from the Kremlin. I mean, Putin's visit this weekend, 2 weeks ago, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu allegedly visiting eastern Ukraine, top brass, trying to show that they're present. Is this to boost morale among Russian troops?
Yes, absolutely. And also among his circles as well, because this, of course, we understand that by this decision from the ICC, we won't be seeing Putin in a cell in The Hague anytime soon. But this is a very important message, even for his, not only internationally, but for his immediate circle as well, because this sends a signal that they might be next. So but with this move, Putin is trying to show to the Russians, to his circle, to the army, that he has things under control and he can move freely, and he can demonstrate his power and his dedication to the plan that he has set from himself.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, of course, being maybe if he did have things under control, he wouldn't have to do these visits in the first place. We're seeing increased support for Ukraine from allies. Fighter jets are on the way from Poland. Is there maybe a sign of desperation coming out of Moscow just to do what you or others are saying, these sort of PR stunts?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we have already seen that the footage of this visit has been everywhere in the Russian propagandist media. And of course, they want to overshadow firstly the ICC decision. And we have seen the messages from the official spokeswoman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Maria Zakharova, who has mentioned that these decisions have no meaning whatsoever for Russia, including from a legal perspective, because, as you know, Russia bears no obligations under the ICC. And of course, they want some positive footage for the Russians to demonstrate that Putin is not somebody who is scared by these kind of decisions. And at the same time, you have rightly pointed out, we see increased help for Ukraine. And this decision is significant in that sense as well, because even among the traditional allies that Putin has, they may not be part of the ICC, but this basically puts them in a very uncomfortable position, such as China, for instance, in a sense that in this case, they will be dealing with an official war criminal.
Natia, thank you very much for your time and your analysis. Natia Seskuria speaking to us from the Royal United Services Institute.
Thank you for having me.